Hey guys, it's Dasha. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video, which is a trash my TBR. If you've never seen these kind of videos, basically someone goes through their entire TBR, or maybe like a category or genre, and you, the audience, trash it. What I mean by this is, don't tell me it's your favorite book ever. Don't tell me it was worth your time. If you see a book that you hate, if you see a book that you thought was bad, tell me in the comments. I don't want nice comments. I want you to trash the shit out of these books that I'm going to show you. More specifically, I'm gonna be focusing on books that I physically own, so I won't be going into too much detail because there are about like 70 of them, so we're not gonna go into detail about what they are, but essentially, like I said, I want you to tell me if they were terrible, not worth my time, you thought they were boring, or you thought that the writing was really bad. I want details and I want negative details. I also will not be including any sequels. I do own a lot of sequels that I haven't read yet, but obviously if I like the first book enough, I don't think I'm gonna bother getting rid of sequels, but a lot of the other books I may consider getting rid of if they have absolutely just terrible reviews, because I trust y'all. I'm gonna go kind of in broad categories in terms of genres just to make it a little bit easier for your viewing pleasure. So let's start with classics. We're gonna start off with two Shakespeare plays. I have here King Lear, and I have The Taming of the Shrew. I also have A Midsummer Night's Dream. No, I never read this for high school, surprisingly. I have Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and I have Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. I have good old WAP by Leo Tolstoy, or War and Peace. Tender is the Night by F. Scott Fitzgerald. 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Okay, so I just looked up how to pronounce this, but I might still be getting it wrong. It is The Story of the Stone, Volume 1 by Chao Tzu-Cin. We have As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner, and we have Emily Wilson's translation of The Odyssey by Homer. I have The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky, and I have a lovely little stack here. If you're Canadian, you know that you can go into Chapters and get 3 classics for like $10. They're usually a good deal. They're these really crappy editions, but you know, if you don't know that you're gonna like something, it's kind of worth checking out. So in the stack, we've got Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. We've got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson, Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky again, and A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of trashing of the classics, and good. I need to know what might be worth my time. If you need to know for reference, some of my favorite classics include The Art of War by Sun Tzu. We have The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I personally really love Lord of the Flies by William Golding, 1984, and Animal Farm by George Orwell. I like classics that really make you think rather than the kind of more Jane Austen type classics, which I ended up DNFing. I will try more by her, but just those are the ones I have physically, and I just gave you an example of what I like. So if any of those are very not what I might enjoy, please tell me so I can chuck them. The next category is nonfiction. I first have What If by Randall Munro. I know this one's kind of like a mess around nonfiction. It's not like a really serious book. You can kind of sit down and flip through it, but is it good? I don't know. The White Man's Burden, Why the West's Efforts to Aid the Rest Have Done So Much Ill and So Little Good by William Easterly. We have Inside the Kingdom, King's Clerics, Modernists, Terrorists, and the Struggle for Saudi Arabia by Robert Lacey. The Shock Doctrine by Naomi Klein. I've heard this is like becoming a modern classic of nonfiction, so I'm curious, but I just never have the desire to pick it up. The Rise and Fall of Ancient Egypt by Toby Wilkinson. Actually quite excited for this one. Hey, there's still a bookmark in here. I got this at the thrift store. We have A Short History of Nearly Everything by Bill Bryson. I know this one is iconic in terms of modern nonfiction. However, again, I never really felt the desire to pick it up. Is it worth it? Does it deserve its status? Think by Simon Blackburn. I will definitely be reading this. It's an introduction to philosophy, but maybe it's not worth my time. If there's a better introduction to philosophy book, let me know. We have Homo Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow by Yuval Noah Harari. This is the kind of sequel to Sapiens, which I quite enjoyed. I don't know if this one's as good. I've heard the 12 Lessons for Modern Life or something is not as good, but I haven't heard anyone talk about this one. We've got All Hell Let Loose, The World at War 1939 to 1945 by Max Hastings. I heard he's phenomenal, but this is a chunker, so if this is bad, I might be happy to get rid of it. Cultish, The Language of Fanaticism by Amanda Montell. You will not pry this out of my cold dead hands, but I would be open to hearing critiques before I sink my teeth into this. The Death of Money, The Coming Collapse of the International Monetary System by James Rickards. I picked this up on a whim at Value Village. I know absolutely nothing about it, have not heard a single person talk about it. I just don't understand how money works. So I thought this might be interesting. Admitting that out loud just is kind of scary. But yeah, let me know if anyone has read this. Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s by Tom O'Neill. Super hyped for this. This was definitely an impulse buy. I never heard anyone talk about it, but this sounds really friggin' cool, especially since I finished Helter Skelter, so I'm pumped for this. We have Berlin, The Downfall of 1945 by Anthony Beevor. I've heard really good things about this author. I think all of his books have reached this like cult status in World War II historical nonfiction. But again, it's pretty large and probably is pretty dense, so let me know if he's worth reading. We have The Penguin History of the World by J.M. Roberts and Odd Arn Westad. I got this as a gift because I thought I wanted it, so any critiques, very welcome. And finally, I've got Blackwater, The Rise of the World's Most Powerful Mercenary Army by Jeremy Scahill. I have not heard anyone talk about this again, but I know that this is, in general, like a beloved modern nonfiction again. I just haven't seen anyone on BookTube talk about it, but it seems interesting. It seems like an interesting topic. So again, let me know. Next, I want to do a few random like non-genre ones. Okay, well, it's like a mix of genre. There's some like horror, mystery, thriller, and then there's also this, whatever the hell this is. A Little Life Behind Yanagihara. Would love to hear people trash this one because as much as people hate it for how much it makes them cry, people still love it. Ring by Koji Suzuki. I know the film is iconic. Haven't heard much about the book. Empire of Wild by Sherry Dimaline. This won a bunch of awards in Canada for like best book of the year when it was released, but I've only heard one booktuber ever talk about it. So let me know if it is absolutely terrible and not worth my time. I mean, it's so small, I'll probably end up reading it anyways, but yeah, since I haven't heard anyone talk about it, I'd be very curious to see what people think. I predict a lot of trashing for this one, House of Leaves by Mark Danielewski. This is a chunker of a book and it is very complex and mind-numbing, I've heard. But you know, like I said, I want to hear from you guys. I want to know if it's worth my time or should I just maybe not torture myself. Stephen King's Under the Dome. While I know he is controversial in general, this premise really intrigues me. And from what I had read of this, it seems like there's a lot of really good character work, so I'm still excited. But if it's like way too long, if the character work goes downhill, again, please let me know. Another King one, but I'm kind of iffy about this one, 11/22/63. I bought this impulsively because I found out Value Village and it's in perfect condition. And maybe there's a reason it's in perfect condition. I don't know. Time travel historical fiction isn't normally my thing, but maybe it's good. If you hated it, please tell me so I can take this away because it's terrifying. Talked about this one a lot before, but I haven't heard anyone talk about it in terms of I've actually read this. It's more like that looks cool. The Book of S, or The Ship of Theseus, J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst. Doug Dorst, yes. This is the one with all of the inserts and the pullouts and the text and two people going back and forth. Like, I know this was going around on TikTok recently and everyone was buying it, but no one's actually read the friggin' thing. And I know this has this like own little cult following on the internet. People are talking about how to read it, what order, how many times they've read it, what they picked up from it. But no one on BookTube has actually completed this as far as I know. So if you have, trash it, please. And then finally, we're getting into my favorite genre, fantasy. There's also a few sci-fi in here. There Will Come a Darkness by Katie Rose Poole. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this, but those that have liked it. So I want to hear if you've read it and hated it. A Brightness Long Ago by Guy Gabriel Kay. Standalone fantasy, I thought it might be fun, but I know that he's very hit or miss for a lot of people. And I specifically haven't heard anyone talk about this in terms of either hit or a miss, so let me know. I know a lot of people are gonna have opinions about this one, so let her rip. Dune by Frank Herbert. Please tell me how much you hate this. I need any excuse to not read it, to be quite honest with you, even though I kind of want to, I kind of don't, because I value my mental health. Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. This is the first book of the Themis Files. It's very short, like sci-fi books that are kind of about first contact with aliens. I haven't heard a ton of people talk about this, but everyone that's talked about it loved it, so again, negative opinions, please. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. Now, this is on my 5-star predictions list, so I'm a little nervous, but I still would like to hear your opinions. Yet another 5-star prediction that I still haven't read, The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I am still very excited for this, but I want to hear all the negative comments because people either love this or haven't read it and feel like ambiguous about it, so who knows. Promise of Blood by Brian McClellan. I know this is I think was this on my 5-star prediction too? Actually, don't remember. I know this is a gunpowder fantasy, and I know not a lot of people have read this, so curious to see if there are any haters here. Good old Brando Sando. I want to see, oh, there's drawings and stuff. It's like artwork. This is my first time opening it because I found it at a thrift store, so I just snapped it up, of course. This is before Oathbreaker was published. Pretty good. Anyways, I know this is beloved, but if you've tried it and you hated it, I want to hear your opinions too. They're valid. Don't let fantasy dude bros tell you otherwise. The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. I have heard a few negative opinions of this one, but because it's such a unknown series, or it's not as popular as some others, I haven't heard a lot of opinions in general. So let me know if you hated it. The less fantasy series on my TBR, probably the better. A Deadly Education by Novi Novik. So I know this one is very unliked on the internet, and if you did dislike it as well, I want to hear your opinion specifically. I've heard everything under the sun, from the writing to the info dumping. Some people like the main character, some people didn't, so let me know. The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. I have not heard, I think, anyone talk about this. There is one person that I chat with in the comments quite often who loves Ken Liu. They've read his collection of short stories, and so I really want to read it because of them. But other than that, I haven't heard anyone talk about like the series, even though I've heard that it's iconic just like through promotion for this, so I have no idea. Let me know. Hey, I want to read the classics, but is it worth it? The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. Is this worth it? Should I just skip it and read modern fantasy? Is it just dude bro porn at this point? I don't know. I know it's beloved for a lot of people and not just fantasy dude bros, but something about it. Oh, it's tiny writing too. I don't know. I'm scared. I have Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. Don't know much about this. Those who have read it felt very lukewarm about it, so I want to hear your rage. An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. Is he as good as his brother? We might never know, but I've heard only praise for this, so I want to hear your rage about it, please. The Starless Sea by, oh shit, Erin Morgenstern, I almost forgot. I have a feeling I'm not going to like this, so I've been putting off reading it for as long as humanly possible. So I really want you to trash this one. I might just be looking for an excuse to not read it, to be honest. I just found a few that I had forgotten in the other section. I have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I know this one's beloved, but I don't really read historical fiction, so I don't know if it's worth my time. Same with Fatherland by Robert Harris. I have a family member who absolutely loves him and has read all his books and like keeps up with him, and he says that all of his books are really worth it. This one is also set in like alternate World War II or post World War II Europe, sorry, which sounds interesting, but I haven't had any desire to pick it up because again, I'm not a historical fiction kind of gal. So if you've read them, let me know if they're worth it at all, or knowing my style, maybe I won't like them. We have finally reached the end. That was almost like an overview of my entire own TBR at this point, to be honest, because other than like the fantasy you see here that are sequels, this is like the other unread books on my shelves. So like I said, no nice comments. I want you to trash them. I want you to tell me how terrible you thought they were, how bad the writing is, how slow they were. I am eagerly awaiting your comments, and look forward to reading them all, and bonus points if they're funny. If you guys want to come talk to me, my social media is also linked down below. You guys can find some playlists and more videos down there while you go drop a hey comment. And other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!